All right, everybody, welcome back to Binge Guide, where we help you find the next show. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Victoria.
And we are so excited
To be back with you today.
because we are diving into a show that really has us excited about all the possibilities.
Yes, and it's a genre that we all know and love, and I think Netflix is going to take it to a whole new level.
I think so, too. And we're talking about Pulse, Netflix's new medical drama, which is dropping on April 3rd.
All 10 episodes on April 3rd, so
Yeah,
get ready to binge.
Your calendars, folks, because this is going to be the one.
Buckle up.
I think so. Now, what's really interesting about this show is that it takes place in Miami
Okay.
at the busiest level 1 trauma center.
So high stakes already.
Already high stakes, and guess what?
What?
There's a hurricane
Oh, no.
coming.
So even higher stakes.
I mean, it's going to be
I
wild.
am already stressed.
I know, right? And in the middle of all of this, we have our main character,
Yes.
Dr. Danny Sims, who's played by Willa Fitzgerald.
Willa Fitzgerald, great actress.
Fantastic actress. You might know her from the show Reacher.
Yes.
And she is unexpectedly promoted to chief resident
Oh.
because the previous chief resident, Dr. Xander Phillips,
Played by
Colin Woodell,
Colin Woodell.
is suspended.
And what? JD.
Shady, right? And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, I'm listening.
Danny and Xander have a past,
Ooh.
a romantic past.
A little romance in the workplace?
Yeah, and it looks like it wasn't exactly above board.
Juicy.
So already, we're seeing the stage set for some really high drama, both in their personal lives and, of course,
In the OR.
the OR.
With a hurricane coming.
the hurricane coming.
This is going to be amazing.
It really is. So let's take a closer look at all of this, starting with the setting and the premise.
Okay, so medical dramas.
They
They never get old.
never get old.
Like, why do we love them so much?
You know, I think it's because they really tap into...
Like humanity? Like the biggest things in life. You know, life and death and, you know, these doctors and nurses who are just, you know, on the front lines of that every day.
Yeah, they're dealing with these intense situations
Intense.
with life or death stakes, and we get to kind of experience that through them.
From the safety of our couch.
Exactly. And, you know, we've seen shows like Grey's Anatomy
Oh, the OG.
and ER really perfect this formula.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems like Pulse is taking inspiration from those shows, but also doing something new.
Right, because we got this hurricane.
A hurricane.
It's like the ultimate
Right.
wrench in the system.
Yeah, you know, you're already dealing with limited resources,
Right?
tough decisions in a trauma center, and then you add a hurricane,
I know.
and you've got a recipe for,
Disaster.
well, for amazing TV.
Yes, for amazing TV.
That's for sure. So how do you think the hurricane is going to affect the hospital and the characters?
Oh gosh. Well, we know that the hospital goes into lockdown.
Oh, right.
Right. So that already ups the tension because it's like a pressure cooker. You know?
Totally.
And then on top of that, you've got, you know, probably a shortage of staff because people can't get in.
Right.
You've got limited supplies. And then, of course, you're going to have a surge of patients coming in.
Oh, yeah. All the hurricane-related injuries.
Exactly. You know, car accidents, people hit by flying debris.
And then the people who couldn't get to the hospital because of the hurricane before.
Right. All their appointments are canceled, and then suddenly it's an emergency.
So it's going to be
Look.
pure chaos.
I can't wait.
All right, well, let's talk about the central romance,
Okay, let's dish.
because this is something that's really intriguing me about this show.
Me too. I mean, Danny and Xander, it's like a forbidden love.
Forbidden love, yeah. And, you know, from the trailer, we see that Danny is really worried about how her promotion is going to be perceived.
Oh, for sure, because she's taking over for him.
Yeah. And they had this secret relationship.
And you know, everyone in the hospital gossips.
Oh, they always.
So you know they're going to be whispering like, did she get the job because of him?
Exactly. And is she really qualified?
Or was it just, you know, a favor?
Right. And then we have Xander,
Yeah.
you know, who's been suspended, and the details of that are still unclear.
Right. Very suspicious.
But I have a feeling it's going to be connected to their relationship somehow.
Oh, I think so too.
So now he's out of the picture, at least temporarily,
Right.
and Danny's in charge.
Which is a huge power shift.
Huge power shift. And, you know, how do you think Xander's going to react to that?
Well, I think he's probably going to feel resentful.
Yeah.
You know, he was the golden boy,
Right?
and now he's been sidelined, and his ex-girlfriend is the one calling the shots.
Yeah, and, you know, they're working in this high-pressure environment with a hurricane coming.
Right. So all that tension is just going to be amplified.
I know. And the creator of the show, Zoey Robin, has said that she really wants to explore the nuances of workplace romance. You know, it's not just going to be about the initial attraction and the excitement.
Right, because there's always a downside.
There's always a downside. You know, especially in a place like a hospital where lives are on the line.
Exactly. And, you're working long hours,
Right.
you're stressed, you're sleep deprived.
Right.
So you're bound to make some bad decisions.
Yeah, I mean, think about all the relationships that have started and ended
On Grey's Anatomy.
on Grey's Anatomy.
I mean, that's like a textbook example.
Right, and it sounds like Pulse is going to really delve into those complexities.
Yes. Give us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay, so let's talk about the cast.
Oh, we love a good ensemble cast.
We do, and this one is stacked.
It is stacked.
Okay, so we've got Willa Fitzgerald as Danny,
Willa.
Colin Woodell as Xander,
Love them.
and then we have Justina Machado, who you might know from One Day at a Time.
Oh, she's amazing.
She plays Dr. Natalie Cruz.
The boss lady.
Yeah, the chair of surgery and emergency medicine.
So she's in charge.
She's in charge, and she's going to be amazing in this role.
I can't wait to see her in a dramatic role.
Yeah, and then we have Jack Bannon as Dr. Tom Cole, who's a surgical resident.
Okay.
And Jesse T. Usher
From The Boys.
from The Boys
Mhm.
plays Dr. Sam Elijah, who's a third-year emergency medicine resident.
So he's like Danny's peer.
Exactly, and I think it's going to be so interesting to see him in this very different kind of role.
Right. He's used to playing a superhero.
Yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see him as, a regular human doctor.
right, dealing with real-life problems.
And then we have Daniela Neves as Camila Perez, who's a third-year medical student.
Okay.
So she's still learning the ropes.
Yeah, and Chelsea Muirhead
Yeah.
as Sophie Chan, who's a surgical intern.
So even more green.
Even more green. And then to add another layer of family drama, we have Jesse Yates, who plays Harper Sims,
Who is?
Danny's younger sister.
Oh, a sister dynamic.
Yeah.
I love that.
And she's a second-year emergency medicine resident.
So they work together.
They work together in the same hospital.
Oh, the tension.
I know. So it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out.
For sure, because you're already stressed at work.
Right.
And then you add your sibling to the mix.
Right.
And it's like, oh my God, get me out of here.
Yeah. And especially with a hurricane coming.
Don't want to be stuck in the hospital with your sibling during a hurricane.
No.
I would lose it.
Okay, so with this amazing cast, let's talk about the themes and the tone of the show.
Yes. Because the trailer really gives us this feeling of high tension.
Yeah.
Like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
You can just feel the intensity,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And we see these glimpses of really critical cases.
Right, like an amputated hand,
Yeah.
someone with chest trauma.
Yeah, and you just know that these doctors are going to be facing these life or death decisions constantly.
Constantly.
And then you add the hurricane.
The hurricane.
And it's like, how are they going to cope?
I know. And Jesse T. Usher said that the show is sexy and romantic,
He did.
which is interesting coming from A-Train.
Right. It's not exactly what we're used to seeing from him.
Right. But I think it speaks to the fact that, these characters are human.
Yeah.
They have desires, they have needs, and they're going to find ways to connect with each other even in the midst of all this chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're saving lives all day,
Right.
but then they go home and they have their own problems to deal with,
Their own drama.
their own drama, their own relationships.
And sometimes it's easier to deal with a patient's heart attack than it is to deal with your own broken heart.
Yeah. And, the trailer transcript really gives us some great lines that capture the intensity
Yes.
of the show.
Okay, like what?
So there's this one line where someone's yelling, "You need to move faster.
Okay.
We can't wait. He's going to code."
Oh, God.
And you just feel the urgency,
The panic.
the panic.
That moment.
Right. And then there's this other scene where Danny and Xander are having this really tense exchange.
Ooh. About what?
And it's not clear what it's about, but you can just feel the tension between them,
The history.
the history.
The baggage.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's this amazing moment when the power goes out.
Oh, no.
During a surgery. During a surgery.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. I know. And they're in the middle of this critical procedure.
I mean, what do they do?
I don't know, but I can't wait to see.
I know. I'm on the edge of my seat already.
And there's this really interesting moment, too, where they're having this debate about whether to amputate a hand.
Oh, wow.
And it's so ethically complex.
Right, because you never want to amputate.
Right.
But sometimes it's the only option.
Yeah. And it's just another example of the really tough choices that these doctors are going to be making.
I mean, it's like playing God.
Yeah.
And then you add the hurricane to the mix.
The hurricane. And it's just like,
It's a recipe for disaster.
I can't wait.
Okay, so let's talk about the people behind the camera.
Okay, the mess.
So the show is created by Zoey Robin.
Who's also a co-showrunner.
Yeah.
Along with Carlton Cuse.
Colton Cuse.
Who's a legend.
A legend in television.
Yes. Lost.
Yeah, Lost.
Amazing.
So he knows how to create really compelling and intricate stories.
So we know we're in good hands. Exactly. And then we have a bunch of other executive producers on board, including Bradley Gardner, Emma Foreman, Michael Click, and Kate Dennis.
And Kate Dennis also directed the first 2 episodes.
Which is great.
Yeah, because that really sets the tone
Yeah.
for the whole series.
And the production companies involved are Letter Z, Genre Arts, and Netflix Studios.
So a lot of heavy hitters.
A lot of heavy hitters.
This show is going to be good.
I think so too. And what's really interesting about Pulse is that it marks Netflix's first foray into English language medical dramas.
I know, it's kind of surprising.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And they've done everything else.
Everything.
But this is their first time really tackling this genre.
And I think it's a smart move.
I do too, because medical dramas are so popular.
They are.
And they've always been popular.
Yeah, and there are so many great ones out there right now.
Yeah, like The Pit on HBO Max.
Which has already been renewed.
Yeah, which is a good sign.
For Pulse.
For Pulse.
Yeah.
Because it shows that there's an audience for these kinds of shows.
Right, and I think Pulse could be the perfect show to watch after you finish the first season of The Pit.
Yeah, that's like a natural progression.
Exactly.
So you're telling me I should watch The Pit?
If you haven't already.
Okay, I'm adding it to my list.
Okay.
All right, so to wrap up our deep dive into Pulse,
Yes, let's recap.
we are so excited about this show.
Me too.
It premieres on April 3rd,
All 10 episodes.
all 10 episodes on Netflix,
Don't miss it.
and we think it has all the makings of a hit.
It does.
The setting is amazing.
Amazing.
Miami during a hurricane.
So dramatic.
The central romance is full of complication,
Time Forbidden Love.
and the cast is phenomenal.
Stacked.
Stacked. And we can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
I know, I'm on the edge of my seat already.
So the big question is, will Danny and Xander be able to overcome their past
And work together.
and work together, especially with the hurricane bearing down on them?
Right, and how will the hurricane affect the hospital's ability to treat patients
Yeah. And will Pulse be the next show
that everyone's talking about?
that everyone's talking about?
We think so.
We think so too. And that's it for our deep dive into Pulse here on Binge Guide.
Your guide to the next show.
We'll see you next time. Happy binging.
Bye.